Hi, this is Carrie Brownstein.
This is DJ Premier.
This is Darren Aronofsky.
You got the RZA right here.
Rose McGowan.
Radiohead.
Aisha Tyler.
Tribe Called Quest. Fred Armisen.
Fritz Paul.
Javier Munoz, Seth Meyers.
Frankie Cosmos.
Flying Lotus.
Hi, we're Chaim, and you're listening to the Talkhouse podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Talkhouse podcast. I'm Josh Modell. This week's episode, while not particularly hilarious, I think sets a new Talkhouse record for the sheer amount of laughter. You'll see why when you listen. It's the members of BadBadNotGood in conversation with Laraaji. Now, BadBadNotGood is a Canadian band that straddles the line between jazz and instrumental hip-hop, but has really gone well beyond those two things in the last decade, incorporating electronic elements, Brazilian sounds, and much more. They've collaborated with everyone from Kendrick Lamar, who sought them out after seeing them at Coachella, to Tyler, the Creator, to Ghostface Killah, to Future Island's Samuel Herring. The list goes on and on. BadBadNotGood returned last year after a 5-year album gap with a collection called Talk Memory. On it, they proved more collaborative than ever, bringing in a bunch of incredible musicians to expand their sound. One of the musicians they called on was the legendary yet under-the-radar Laraaji, who's had a remarkable career over the past 40 years or so. After a winding road that included acting and stand-up comedy, Laraaji was eventually discovered while busking in Washington Square Park by none other than Brian Eno, who produced and released Laraaji's Day of Radiance album as part of his ambient series. Since then, he's released dozens more recordings. Laraaji's main instrument is an electrified zither, which, as you'll hear in this conversation, came to him in kind of a magical way. Once you hear him talk, though, that won't surprise you. He's obviously open to whatever experiences the world wants to bring him. On record, that most recently includes a collaboration with the improvisational ensemble Noose and his old friend Arji Oshiananda called Circle of Celebration. That project also includes friend of Talkhouse Thor Harris, funnily enough. Here's a little bit of the track Ascending. In this conversation, you'll hear Laraaji laughing a lot because in addition to his music, he leads laughter workshops, which are exactly what you might think they are. You'll also hear about Laraaji's past, about the brain that exists inside your abdomen, creative trances, and why the color orange has played a big part in his life. Enjoy.
Hello, everyone. How's everybody doing today?
Eternal.
Amazing. It's great. I think the last time we spoke was probably middle of 2020 at some point, also via Zoom.
Yes, that was an isness, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
How is life treating you at the current time?
In perfect karmic response. What I'm putting into it, I'm getting back, I'm circulating. I'm getting a lot of rest and also getting a lot of alone time, quiet time. And that's inwardly mobile for me to spend relaxed amount of time still in inward introspection.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right on. Is that involve a practice with composing new music, or is that purely just kind of in a still and quiet space for you?
It's all in one, like a holistic life, introspection, and then roll right into the recording situation and free associate. So there's things or places I can get to more deeply when I translate them into sound, translate them into the sound verse.
Amazing.
Yes, it is. Super amazing that we're here, rolling through unknown space together.
Yes.
And trusting.
I'm curious to ask if kind of through the introspection and kind of experience, the meditation and all the things that you're doing in your daily kind of experiences from your, years and years of doing this, are you still energized and kind of inspired by all the new adventures each day as they come? And if there's been any current ones that pop out and has spoken to you?
Yeah, one big thing was discovering that the place downstairs serves Impossible Burger.
Amazing. Are you vegan?
Yes, well, leaning toward vegan, but that's a big event downstairs, and I decided to support them and says, I'll buy your Impossible Burger on a potato bun. Yum. And then the laughter work, is always an opportunity for the breath work. It's actually breath work, laughter. It's just using some acting technique to bring your whole body, your whole breath, and your whole emotional body into a very open space through laughter. And so when I get a chance to do those, I'm conducting one later on today on Zoom. And it's a new experience to be in a circle where the participants are in their own separate pod spaces. And that's unique too, because it's giving them the chance to lie down or really get relaxed to get into the laughter in the privacy of their own home, I assume.
Yeah.
How do you conduct a workshop like that? I assume there's not too much explaining you have to do. You simply kind of guide them into this laughter, or?
Yeah, it's very experiential. I might set up something like we're going to go through 6 different laughter intentions that they're to radiate our physical body. So I'll guide them to laughing into the head, the throat, the heart, the abdominal, and the lungs to use laughter to radiate our body and the cells and the molecules by sending breath through laughter, a luminous language. We are actually etherically vibrating a cellular body, a molecular body, or a hormonal body with a very now intention, energy, intention. So laughter, like I find if you get together and just laugh heartily before a performance backstage, I find it a very interesting energy comes out, even through an ensemble. That and screaming. Screaming is good to do backstage. That's very powerful. Good scream backstage before going out, and something like you bonded by the scream, so you go out as a unit. If the audience hasn't left.
I would love to be at a classical performance and just to hear the whole orchestra screaming together backstage before they walk.
Yeah. You better believe you're going to hear some good classical music.
Oh, absolutely. That's really interesting. You're mentioning kind of laughing through all different kind of aspects of like the body. I've never thought about laughing through the heart, but I'm sure I've experienced it. Is there a laughing kind of center that you think we laugh more naturally in, and kind of approaching some of the other spaces a bit more of a practice and kind of experience to grow with?
So laughing the heart, actually we use creative intention when we get to the heart area. Invite the participants to be in their water body first to get through the whole, before the workshop really begins. So you get to play with your water body, so you get into fluidity. And then we're going to play with laughter. So we're going to focus on the heart area by just sending our voice, a tone, into our heart area. And you can place one of your hands over your heart and feel this tone vibrate in your heart area while you're in your water body. And when I say send a tone to your heart, send a tone that reflects the way you like your heart being treated, the way you would want your heart being treated in general. We hang out with that space a while. That's how we sort of cultivate a laughter that respects a heart space. There's this kind of laughter, too, that we can go into an ancestral, honor our ancestors through putting a little heart laughter edge on our prayers and on our invocations. So we're learning how to will our laughter so we can use it as a resource in our life more abundantly, because laughter isn't just about laughing at a joke. It's a language, and it's a language that if we don't speak it enough, something gets left out of our experience.
I have a 5-month-old baby at home here, and as she's growing and developing, laughter becomes a very, available experience. And the laugh language is totally real. And it's so cool when the contagiousness and the way it kind of brings out emotion and fun and calm and so many beautiful things as she laughs, makes you laugh, or you make her laugh, or you laugh together. It's amazing. I haven't laughed so much in my life.
There it comes.
There's always been a close relationship between music and humor or laughter, all of the above for us, even though I can't say we've ever tried to intentionally do a laughter meditation before a show, but I think we should.
Yes. Well, you mentioned that as my experience of being in close to or around or along on the road with ensembles, that's a wonderful breeding ground for humor.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, a laughter meditation would be focusing intentionally to include the energy of laughter. Let's say, to include your resource in the energy of your resource in your performance, even if it has to be subdued and subtle. I go through the head. There's a laughter release that goes through the head, and it's so it's playing with the tone of our voice into the head and moving sound around. And as we get to a place of vibrating the brain, the pituitary, the pineal gland. And if you get really focused on it, you can get into your brain like a tonal relationship with your brain. You're actually making out with your brain. This is new territory. Suddenly your brain wakes up. Hey, I love me.
Yeah.
Yes. And of course, we might want to be mindful that our laughter does carry the lightness and the openness, and that it is an intentional laughter. So what I mean by that is that to jump into laughter is a good way to get into it, and then let our intention kind of hone it to vibrate the head. So our laughter is not just outwardly, but we're harnessing the physical force, the etheric force, the emotional force of our laughter. And laughter reveals that the breath is clear, the breath is open, the breath is available. And so this translates into a performance if you're going to do improvisational performance with that extra sense of permission. You can practice this and get it on your own, I believe, through improvisation. If you practice improvisation with your breath and tone and moving around inside the body, I would believe everyone here knows how to learn a new instrument and how to practice and create exercises for a new instrument. So without laughter, the idea of laughing in the water body and moving the sound within the physical body. Then you get to the heart, it's gentle. In the head, in the abdominal, the stomach area. And you get the inner picture here. Your laughter is becoming inwardly mobile. And what beautiful thing could not happen through the body? It gets lighter. We are bringing a luminous language into our body expression. So our body's radiating a luminous language. And we're speaking a language that allows us to bring forth a resource. And so your now work is your new work, is your inner work. You can practice this in the bathroom. You can practice this on an airplane quietly. You can practice this in the car. You can practice this while boogieing on the dance floor, walking down the street, strolling through Central Park. These little luminous, lumifying exercises. So, BBNG.
Yeah, thank you for that. It's extremely musical too. Is this sort of thing like different types of meditation and I guess trying to be centered in general as well as musical improvisation, is that's all like many sides of the same thing for you?
Exactly. Yes. Connecting with the center, the improvisations radiate a sense of order, centric order, and the practice of centering actually can choreograph the improvisation, given that you've prepared your medium, whether it's an open-tuned zither or a well-tuned horn, or you've a selected set of drums you're going to do percussion with, or your stringed instrument, but selecting the medium through which you're going to release this centered energy. What happens is a musical event, a hearing event for yourself, those who's present, that provides a point of least resistance into centering. So the music becomes like a therapeutic facilitator of the listeners having a centering experience. If I come from my center, and how I come from my center, one, physically, I think of just below the belly button. If you've heard of the hara,
No.
Dantian, well, supposedly, let's say somewhere in your abdomen, you have an abdominal brain. Surprise.
Yeah.
If you've heard that phrase, dropping into your center. It means literally letting this witness area that we usually focus out of magically appear down just below our belly button. Now, this could be called a good hearty acting exercise, or for a child, it's an imagination exercise. When you get down here, it's no longer down here. It's where you are, and the head, everything is above you. So if you can practice being here, and the practice is be up on your feet and initiating body movements from down here, your body has an alternative place to go to retreat to when it's looking for a center all of a sudden, or a balance. And hopefully some of us choose to ground ourselves here as our daily life practice so that we come from our hara. And the practice of doing this for 21 minutes a day at least is a way of starting to bring a new depth of centeredness in our physical, our mental, emotional behavior, which translates through our instrument as an extension of that centered place. So you see that music in the hands of an artist today can speak a new depth of connection. That's centeredness through sound.
For the audience that may not know, we had the pleasure of having Laraaji play on one of our songs recently. And personally, I feel like it brought our music to a whole new level to have you on it. So just, wanted to thank you for that, since I don't think we've spoken since.
It is a blissfully loaded opportunity. So I'm really enjoying collaborating inside this language. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Have you been doing much of that recently?
At home, yes. Also, yes, a lot of weed transfers have transferred around the globe as we spin through unknown space together. What's mine is mine, and what's yours is mine. How much of what we own is really meaningful when we're on this globe spinning through unknown space.
Absolutely.
Yes, and what we trust, we've somehow learned to trust that this Gaia is in a divine intention. We trust that love is the foundation of the whole creation. Yeah.
When we were talking about improvising and laughing, I had a thought. I was watching an old Elvin Jones interview, the amazing jazz drummer who played a lot with John Coltrane and lots with other people as well, and in his own groups. And in this interview, he kind of is just laughing the whole time. He's just so bright and just laughing the whole time. And I just was like, the interviewer asks a question and he just responds with a big laugh and kind of just goes, yeah, really doesn't answer the question. But then you watch the band playing in the later concert, and it's just phenomenal. And I was curious about improvising, playing an instrument live, maybe even if you've had a relationship with more jazz style musicians or players and this kind of laughing resonance or ability with the instrument in a live setting or anything like that. Like jazz musicians or people improvising more in that style of music, but also having that kind of laughter connection or that.
Yes, I know Lionel Hampton, Earl Gardner, these are some artists I recall laugh during the performance. And Ray Charles, I think it's a feel-good soul feeling. I found out very early in life when doing improvisation on the piano, and someone would come over to me and ask me a linear question, and I start laughing. I couldn't switch. I couldn't switch to, and I just learned later what that was. I was in a sort of a creative trance, channel trance, and then when somebody came with, what do you call it, an earthbound question, it seemed what my mind had to do to wrap my brain around it was so not ready for it. I just laughed. And I feel that's what some artists are. They might be focused on the next project or focused on, and when they see somebody asking a question and they catch some of the question, and they might see it in a very hilarious perspective, them being here answering this question, and
yeah, absolutely. Seemingly you've been really drawn to the zither over your lifetime of playing music, as well as a few other instruments. Is there something that draws you to a certain instrument as a way of expressing yourself?
I like to be able to really interact with an instrument. I found that. So with the auto harp, it's very easy. I remove chord bars, play with the tuning, electrify it. And the sound that I was reaching for allowed me to celebrate this interconnection that I feel has been revealed through me, not only through my art, but through my practice and through the grace of those who've gone before me and have shared wisdom, that a language for expressing the depth and the breadth of the gift that I feel that life is. I can do it through the piano. I could probably do it through an oatmeal box. But the idea, the electric zither was revealed to me, and it's sort of as if a guide, a very inner, auspicious guide, actually literally almost pointed to the auto harp in the window of a pawn shop back in mid-1970s as I was going to pawn my guitar, my Yamaha 6-string steel guitar, in a Martin's fiberglass case. I know it was worth $175, and the clerk offered me $25. And I said, I need money. I need money now. And this voice intervened, very clear. It says, don't take money. Swap your guitar for that instrument in the window. So it was telepathic communion, so it didn't have to say auto harp. It's that I knew what was. So it was, now that I'm telling a story, I'm hearing myself for the first time again. I've never mentioned that. Now I can see it. It was telepathic. And so I wanted to see what this kind of connection was all about. So I went along with it, and I did ask for $5 too. So I left with the auto harp for $5. I needed money. And so money.
Yep.
And I had seen that instrument a couple of years before in Greenwich Village, bluegrass ensembles. The years that I was presenting myself as a stand-up comedian in the village, some of those places were folk music places. So now and then I'd see a bluegrass ensemble and that auto harp. And it looked like a very chunky instrument. Like, wow, that's interesting looking. And it sort of intrigued me. And so later on, the voice, the inner guide, the telepathic connect says, yo, check out the zither. So I checked it out. And I immediately started tuning my favorite open tune tunings from the guitar into the auto harp. So I had given up the guitar of 6 strings, and I inherited 36 strings that I can tune and really play with that plush pad sound. So that's why I stick mainly with it, because it's portable, meaning I can control the quality of the tone. I could take out into the backwoods cabin and do a concert with, or a private living room, small. But it's portable, and it's very interactive from my point of view.
Right on. You did also some recordings with synthesizers, drum machines, and singing and lyrics as well.
Yeah, that's a very groovy place to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
You do any of the vocal work on your album?
No.
I think we all kind of experiment singing in our own respects, maybe making little songs at home, but we're mainly an instrumental group. And we do work with other vocalists, but someone who's coming with their voice as the instrument.
Yes. Have any of you ever belonged to a choir? A doo-wop group?
When I was a kid, I was in a choir, yeah.
I thought that was you. Yes. You ever tried doo-wop?
No.
You know what doo-wop
No.
is?
Yeah, oh yeah, big fan.
Yes, I grew up on the street corners with that. I've been exposed to choir music, orchestral music, music from around the world. My teachers at Howard University gave me this a sensibility of relating to all the instruments, the choir, and to fill the imagination with sound with different timbres and different wavelengths. My early ambition was to write music for orchestra. And I got to thinking, wow, that's kind of awesome, man. You write it, and then you got to get an orchestra to rehearse it and play it. We're talking bucks or a grand. And then this other idea says, why don't you hit the synthesizer?
The fingertip orchestra.
So the synthesizer was my way of access to all the instruments, even if I wanted an oboe just for 30 seconds. And if I had to depend on live artists and musicians, I'd be having a tricky way to go about now.
I think a lot of people, including ourselves, listen to your music as a way of getting into or being receptive to like a meditative or a calmer state. So I was wondering if you have artists that you listen to for that purpose for yourself.
Steve Roach is one. Yasos is another. I would say Sylvia Nakash is another person. And good, plush, serene orchestral music. Orchestral classics do it. And Sylvia Nakash, she's the main one.
I was curious about the color orange in your life.
What orange?
The orange in your clothes, or
Well, it started out as curiosity. I thought it was curiosity. The years I was playing music on the sidewalks in New York, at lunchtime I would go to the Hare Krishna restaurant, all you can eat for $5. The street musicians would do that. And then I became curious about them wearing the color orange. And I started experimenting with it without understanding why I was doing it until years later, a spiritual mentor pointed out the connection that I was wearing this color because I had an inner initiation and that it's trying to surface, and it's the color of letting go of the old way of knowing self and sunrise on the new way of knowing self. It's a color of purification and a transformation. And when he said that to me, I connected it with a 1974 sound initiation of hearing music in a trance that lifted my awareness into another dimension. And so that's why I began wearing the color orange without consciously knowing why, until he told me, and he gave me a full set of orange clothes and says, here, you've been half, now it's time to be on the path all the way. So that was in 1985, that initiation to the idea of sun colors, clothing, and fire, sun, sunrise, sunset, transformation.
Right on. Yeah, there's also interesting, I guess, very different language with orange as a color of a safety color. It's, worn for visibility.
Yeah. How many times in the wood I have not gotten shot?
Yeah. I have a couple of jackets for when I'm on walks out in hunting season just to make sure I'm very visible, and they're just bright orange. But they also make me feel good because I love the color as well.
Supposedly, yes. It's I have a positive energy color. And I grew up liking stage lights, and I realized that I like stage lights that had amber, that I was drawn to amber and that frequency of color.
Absolutely.
Yeah, amber is the most pleasing lighting situation to have.
Yeah, I agree.
In the candlelight is amber light too, right?
Yeah, it's so natural.
Right on.
Are you in a church or is that your home?
No, this is just my house here.
That almost looked like a church with a glass window to your right.
Yeah, no, the previous owners of this home did a nice kind of little doily style inlay in the glass.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
Yeah. They were very crafty, and yes, I'm appreciative of all the different textures, and even the room is hand sponge painted. I guess it's like, different tones, and then you add like white as a texture to create this kind of almost cloud-like effect.
I can see it from here.
Mm-hmm. Do you do painting or any type of other, artistic or craft-based practice?
Funny you should use that term. I think of the music at times as sound painting. And so that takes me out of clear-cut lines, and I get more into like mushing sounds together, creating textures and suggestions of sounds. So I take a sound painting attitude. Also, it's interesting you brought that up, is because I've been offered an opportunity to sit with someone who is already into painting, and I said, if I could just be with you for a couple of times and show me how to get started. So that's on the shelf, an idea to get into painting. I've wanted to see where this orchestral energy of mine would go on a canvas. Do you do?
Not really, no. Maybe one more when I was a kid, but yeah, I would like to also experiment with it more. I think as my young baby grows older, we will definitely dabble into all the messy crafts of...
That's a multi-dimensional painting right there.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Always mixing new colors and shades and, patterns and lines. So I feel very fortunate.
I hope we can get together in person and play some music one day.
Yes.
That'd be a trip. Yes.
Yeah.
Peace, tone, until now.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks, Bad Not Good.
Thank you, Laraaji.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Talkhouse podcast, and thanks to Laraaji and the members of Bad Not Good for chatting. If you liked what you heard, please follow Talkhouse on your favorite podcasting platform. This episode was produced by Myron Kaplan, and the Talkhouse theme is composed and performed by The Range. See you next time.